My friend, have you ever wondered why suddenly someone is so eager to marry you? Why, after all the waiting, the delays, the confusion, and the heartbreaks, suddenly doors are opening faster than you imagined? You may be asking yourself, why now? Why so quickly? What's the rush? But let me tell you something. When God moves, He does not move slowly. When heaven decides it is time, everything that once stood still begins to move. The heart that once resisted begins to soften. The person who once walked away suddenly wants to return. And the one who seemed uncertain is now desperate to make you theirs. Don't be afraid when things start happening quickly. Don't doubt when love begins to flow faster than your understanding, because sometimes speed is a sign of divine urgency. God doesn't need years to do what He can do in a moment, and when His Spirit starts aligning two souls, no distance, no delay, and no human logic can stand in His way. Today I want to show you the real reason they want to marry you so fast. And I promise you, it's deeper than emotions, stronger than attraction, and more powerful than timing. It's something heaven has been preparing for a long, long time. There are moments in life when God moves so quietly that we mistake His silence for absence, but in truth He is working behind the scenes, shaping hearts and rewriting destinies. The person who once seemed unsure about you, distant, hesitant, or even resistant, was not rejecting you. They were being prepared. Many times when we pray for love, we imagine instant answers, quick changes, and smooth paths. But when God prepares a heart, He does it through a process that only He understands. What you saw as delay was actually divine development. God had to bring them through storms that would break their pride, through seasons that would teach them humility, and through loneliness that would open their spiritual eyes. When God starts changing a heart, He doesn't do it with noise. He does it in secret, where no one can see the transformation but Him. The reason they want to marry you so fast now is not because they suddenly fell in love. It's because heaven revealed something they couldn't see before. The veil has been lifted. They realized the peace they felt in your presence was not ordinary, it was spiritual. They remember the prayers you prayed, the patience you showed, the forgiveness you extended, and now their soul recognizes what their mind once denied. That's what divine timing looks like. When revelation replaces confusion, God didn't want them to come to you out of loneliness or pressure. He wanted them to come because their heart had been purified, their spirit made ready, and their understanding renewed. When that moment finally arrives, decisions that once seemed hard become simple, and the hesitation that once blocked them turns into holy urgency. For a long time, God allowed them to chase what they thought they wanted, only to realize that what they needed was not found in temporary pleasures, but in divine connection. Every disappointment, every heartbreak, and every failure they experienced was part of a heavenly lesson. They had to lose to learn. They had to be emptied to be filled. They had to walk alone so they could finally recognize the one God prepared for them. So when they returned to you, or when they suddenly felt the need to make a move quickly, it wasn't impulsive, it was inspired. The spirit within them had been stirred. There's a holy restlessness that comes when God says, now is the time. You can't explain it logically, but you can feel it spiritually. The same person who was once unsure now carries conviction. The same heart that was once divided is now completely aligned with God's purpose. This kind of transformation doesn't happen overnight, even if it looks sudden on the outside. Inside, God has been doing deep work for months or even years. He's been healing old wounds, breaking chains of fear, and silencing voices of doubt. When someone's heart is changed by God, they don't just think differently, they see differently. They begin to recognize your value, not based on appearance, status, or convenience, but on spiritual purpose. They begin to understand that you are not just someone they like, you are someone they were called to walk beside. That revelation creates a holy urgency, not the kind born of fear, but of obedience. When God touches a heart, he replaces hesitation with hunger, not for romance alone, but for alignment with his will. You may have prayed for this person for a long time without seeing results. You may have cried and wondered if God ever heard your prayers. But now, you're about to witness the fruit of those prayers. God did not forget. Every tear you shed became a seed of transformation in their life. He was working in ways you could not see, speaking in moments you could not hear. When you were ready and they were still running, God kept them in his grasp until the appointed time. And now that time has come. The quickness of their desire to marry you is not a human rush. It is a spiritual awakening. It's the evidence that God has completed his work in their heart and is now calling them to step into obedience. This is why sudden shifts are often divine. When God decides a heart is ready, he wastes no time. The same way he can part a sea in a second, he can change a heart in an instant. What once felt impossible becomes effortless because heaven has authorized it. And when heaven authorizes something, no man, no opinion, and no past mistake can stand in its way. So when they come to you with urgency, don't see it as confusion. See it as confirmation. Their heart has been changed not by persuasion, but by the power of the one who created them. They see now what they could not see before, that you are not just their choice, you are their calling. There is a reason why your journey toward love has faced so much resistance, and it's not because you were unworthy or unlucky. It's because what you carry and what your union represents carries the power to disturb the enemy's kingdom. When two people chosen by God come together, something powerful is born: purpose, peace, and divine authority. The enemy knows that when you and your destined partner unite, your prayers will multiply, your strength will increase, and your calling will become unstoppable. That's why he fought you so hard. That's why the delays came. That's why confusion entered. The opposition you faced wasn't about romance, it was about warfare. The enemy wasn't afraid of your relationship, he was afraid of your assignment. From the very beginning, the enemy's strategy has been to divide what God intends to multiply. He brings distraction, doubt, and delay. He plants fear in the heart and whispers lies in the mind. You're not ready, you can do better, this isn't the right time. He tries to twist emotions and create misunderstanding so that what God joined in spirit never connects in the physical. But the enemy can only delay what he cannot destroy. And now, because his time is up, everything that was once slow is suddenly moving fast. The rush you're seeing now is not panic, it's prophecy unfolding. Heaven is accelerating what hell tried to interrupt. The person who once hesitated has been awakened because the Spirit of God has revealed the truth that the enemy worked so hard to conceal. There comes a moment in every divine relationship when the enemy realizes he's losing control. He sees the bond strengthening, the prayers increasing, the heart's healing, and he panics. That's why before every divine breakthrough, there's usually a storm. You faced chaos, not because you were off track, but because you were close to breakthrough. Every tear, every delay, every misunderstanding, it was part of the enemy's last attempt to keep you apart. But God used even the attacks for your growth. What the enemy meant for harm, God turned into preparation. He refined your faith, strengthened your endurance, and taught you how to pray in the middle of pressure. Now you stand stronger than before, and your partner too has been awakened to truth. They have realized that the longer they delay obedience, the more ground they give to the enemy. So when they suddenly say, I don't want to wait any longer, it's not fear of losing you, it's a declaration of war against the darkness that tried to divide you. The speed of this union is heaven's response to hell's resistance. The enemy knows that when the two of you come together, chains will break, not only in your lives, but in the lives of others connected to you. He knows your future children will carry purpose. He knows your marriage will be a testimony that inspires others to believe again. So he fights, he distracts, he tempts, and he delays. But God in his mercy only allows the battle to last until its purpose is fulfilled. Once the lesson is learned, once the heart is purified, once the faith is strengthened, God steps in and accelerates everything the enemy tried to slow down. That's what you're seeing now, the power of divine acceleration. Things are moving fast because heaven is reclaiming the time you lost. The waiting season was not wasted. It was warfare training. You learned to trust God in silence, to pray through pain, and to stand firm when everything else was falling apart. Now you're ready to step into victory, and the enemy can no longer stop what's already been sealed in heaven. There's also something deeper happening in the spirit realm right now. The same urgency you feel in your heart is not just emotional, it's spiritual alignment. The Spirit of God is stirring both of you because a window of divine opportunity has opened. When heaven opens a window, those who are sensitive to the Spirit feel a strong pull to act quickly. Delay during a divine moment can lead to missed blessing. That's why the person you're connected to feels the need to move fast. They're not rushing from pressure, but responding to purpose. They feel something sacred, something holy, something beyond human logic. It's the awareness that what God is joining together must be sealed before the enemy attempts one last distraction. You see, the enemy is powerless against divine obedience. When two hearts say yes to God, his grip breaks instantly. That's why he fought you when you were unsure, but he retreats when you decide. The decision to walk in God's will is the greatest act of spiritual warfare you can make. So when your partner feels an urgency to commit, understand that it's not just love, it's liberation. They're breaking free from confusion, closing the door to the past and stepping into covenant. And every time covenant is formed in obedience to God, hell loses ground. So don't be alarmed by how fast things are moving. The speed is not a sign of chaos, it's a sign that the battle is over. The enemy's resistance has been overruled, and what God ordained from the beginning is finally manifesting. You are not just entering marriage, you are entering victory. The war that once raged against your love has been silenced by divine authority, and now the very union the enemy tried to prevent will become the weapon that defeats him completely. There comes a point in every believer's life when the pace of God begins to accelerate. And it's not because he's rushing you, it's because he's positioning you. When destiny is ready to unfold, delay becomes dangerous and movement becomes mandatory. That's what is happening now. The reason this person wants to marry you so quickly is not rooted in emotion alone, it's rooted in divine mission. You were never meant to walk an ordinary path, and your union was never meant to be casual or convenient. It's a part of a greater purpose that heaven has planned long before you both even met. When God connects two souls for his work, he orchestrates every detail with precision. Nothing is random. Every conversation, every encounter, every feeling of urgency, it's all the rhythm of destiny pushing both of you into alignment with divine timing. Many people mistake divine acceleration for human haste. But there is a difference. Human haste comes from fear, but divine acceleration comes from calling. When God ordains something, he compresses time. He redeems the years the locusts have eaten. He restores what delay tried to steal. That's why what took years to build before can now come together in days. When the season shifts from waiting to walking, everything moves at the speed of obedience. And right now, obedience is calling both of you to act, to commit, to join your destinies and purpose. This is not just about two people finding happiness. It's about two lives merging to fulfill a divine assignment. You are carrying something bigger than love itself. You are carrying the light of influence, the power of prayer, and the authority to bring healing wherever you go. There are some blessings God cannot release until you are in partnership, because some purposes require two hands to lift, two hearts to carry, and two spirits to sustain. The dreams you've had, the visions you've seen, the promises that seem delayed, all of them are waiting on this connection. Your union is not the end of your story, it's the beginning of your mission. God has chosen you and your partner as vessels of impact, and this is why things are happening fast. Heaven has seen your preparation. You've endured the pain of waiting, the ache of loneliness, and the test of patience. Those were not wasted years, they were years of molding. God was shaping your character to hold the weight of what's coming next. Now that both of you are spiritually ready, He's removing all barriers and pushing things forward with divine urgency.